Hello, Frog fans. Welcome to Postgame Beers. We are the Lupton Drinking Club. I'm your host tonight, JD Sailors, joined currently by my co-host Martin Guerrero. Ray will be on shortly. And off the top, I have to apologize because I'm dealing with technical difficulties. Hopefully, I don't sound too awful, but this is going to be an abbreviated show anyway, so just stick with us for the next half hour or so, and then you won't have to listen to me talk anymore. Martin, what's up, dude?
What's up?
I just dropped his Zen on the floor. So
10-second rule.
We'll be delayed while I look for it. No, I'm just kidding. I'll find it later. All right. So let's just jump right into it. We'll thank our sponsors. We have Long Drink. Go to Kings, get some Long Drink. ChinookCeatery.com. Use promo code LDC for 10% off your order. And, of course, Anduno travel bags. I think we're in the last few days of pre-order with them. I think they're going into full production mode. So make sure you get your pre-order in because once these go live, they're going to sell out. So go to anduno.us, use promo code LDC2025 for 10% off your order. These are awesome travel bags. I use mine almost on a daily basis at this point. So go check them out. Get one for your own. Ray's joined the chat. Boys,
glory, top.
Yeah, we don't have time. We don't have time.
Glory, Tottenham Hotspur. Glory.
Okay.
That's enough.
Hey, I just learned a new trick. I can kick Ray out of the studio.
That's funny. Do you put him
He's still
backstage?
singing. Yeah, he's backstage. He's still singing. That's hilarious.
Jesus.
Anyway, I hope my audio sounds passable, but let's just jump right into it. So the regular season is over. We went to Utah, won the series. We're not going to spend too much time covering Utah, but what are your general thoughts on that series before we get into the Big 12 tournament?
The big, elephant in the room, crushing loss. Carson Bowen likely out for the season. There's not much season left. That sucks. He's one of your four best hitters. He's
the most important part of the season, though.
Yeah, it is the most important part of the season. He's one of your four best hitters. He's your leadoff hitter. He's one of the better guys at getting on base. He's turned into a very good defender at first. Had they needed him behind the plate, he would have been an elite defender behind the plate. It really sucks. That he's going to be out for the postseason. Took care of business, I guess, in Utah.
Did you? I disagree, man.
Did
we? I mean, you win 2 out of 3 on the road. It's kind of like the same thing that's been happening all year.
We've been talking about this every week. It's another mission completed but not accomplished.
Yeah. Same thing that happened at Texas Tech, same thing that happened at Houston, same thing that happened at home against Baylor.
Cincinnati.
That's
Cincinnati, man. That's aging better.
Yeah. I mean, even before the season started, I think Cincinnati was better than all 3 of those teams.
Here's my problem with Cincinnati is you were going into that series knowing you had to go on the road the following week, knowing you needed 5 out of 6 games in your last 2 weeks to kind of shore up a hosting spot, and you didn't sweep either opponent.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
Yep. I mean, you win one more game, I think. Because right now, I've been listening to pretty much every podcast who's doing projections for who's going to host. And, TCU continues to be a bubble host. And I feel like if we would have won one more game, I mean, I've sent you guys like 7 games this season that TCU has lost by 1 run. And I feel like if TCU wins any of those games, I think they're firmly a host. So it's just, just something, a trend that continues for this team.
So let's talk about where they're at. They entered the Big 12 tournament as the 3 seed. Golly, after I wrote off the conference a couple weeks ago, West Virginia completely hits a wall, and we end up just percentage points back of winning the conference. I think that's a clown title for West Virginia, given they played 2 fewer games.
As all get out.
I think Kansas has a better claim to the title, but it's just a mess, man. I don't think we should put too much stock in who won the Big 12 regular season this year. I don't know. That's really all I have to say about that. But so they finished, they get the 3 seed. They're sitting 17th in RPI. Tennessee defeated Alabama today. They were sitting at 16th. They've now moved up to 12th. So you got to think Tennessee has shored up one of those spots, and they were one of the teams on the bubble with TCU. So Florida State, did they lose or did they just get passed by other teams that won? Because they
have buys. They have 2 buys.
They have 2 buys. Okay, so they'll have their opportunity to move up. TCU also will have an opportunity to move up as they play the winner of Houston versus K-State. And, well, you know what? Let me just recap where we sit right now with the tournament. So Arizona State laid a total egg in more ways than one this morning against BYU. They never woke up. They lose 2-0. And now, if you're an Arizona State fan, you're feeling pretty nervous right now, right?
Have to.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, you're sitting 48th in RPI. Really, all you have to hang your hat on is, well, you finished top 5 in the conference and you won 18 league games. Man, if I'm, I did that study on how the committee kind of values RPI, and really, it's pretty chalky with RPI. So if you're Arizona State sitting at 48, man, I'm not feeling good. Like TCU, granted, they were just barely above 500 in league play last year, but they were sitting at 39th and got left out.
Yeah, the only way Arizona State, I think, gets in is if the committee goes very heavily on what I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Virginia, where they put the best teams in. Virginia was preseason ranked number 2 in the country. They were terrible. They're like in the 50s, I think, right now in RPI.
They're 50. They sit 55.
Yeah, and so they're still, everybody pretty much has Virginia in. Arizona State.
Man, look, we had Mike Buddy on last week, and if you haven't heard that, go check it out. He was great guest, great dude. But he was the chairman of the committee a few years ago, and he made the point that it's not, there's no point in playing games if you're just going to say, well, let's just pick who we believe is the best despite how they played. So if Virginia gets in, that's a travesty.
Just like Florida was a travesty, last year?
Okay, I went and looked back at that recently, and they ended up being like 31 in RPI, and they were on a heater. They had a lot to hang their hat on. In fact, if you talk to some of these bracketologists, they would say that, yeah, TCU got screwed, but it wasn't because of Florida. It was because of other teams that got in.
Yeah, I think it was K-State mostly.
K-State. There were some others. I'd have to go back and look. But the point is, I think Florida was sitting at like 31 in RPI. Virginia's at 55. Give me a break.
Yeah, but I still feel like RPI is different outside of the SEC. Like the SEC, I think they know how to mess with the system. There were 2 games above 500. I think it was ridiculous they got in. But, they were very good, and they kind of showed it. They make it to
the
semifinals or something, which is the same thing.
They made it to the Final Four.
And, something similar could happen with Virginia, Arizona State. And that remains to be seen if they do that with Virginia this year. I hope not. I hope at least they have to earn it in the ACC tournament. But Arizona State is not in the same boat as far as they cannot win any more games. But they have a very talented roster. I mean, after TCU lost the series to Arizona State, everybody pretty much had Arizona State as like a top 16 team in the country, and they kind of just shit the bed.
Yeah.
Especially getting swept by Oklahoma State to end the year.
But I don't really care too much if Arizona State gets in or not. So let's move on from that. So in game 2, you had Cincinnati putting the stake in the heart of Texas Tech. There will be no Cinderella story in Lubbock, as they have a lot of questions to answer with coaching staff and just overall direction of the program right now. I've seen some fans that are saying just punt the program entirely and put all the resources into softball, which, dude, if we ever get there, that'll be the end of post-game beers, at least for me, if our fans are saying that.
Sad.
And currently, right now, we have Oklahoma State with the go-ahead run on first with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th as they take on Baylor. And that's another team, Oklahoma State, that they should be playing for their lives right now. They sit 43 in RPI. They got on a heater by sweeping West. Who they sweeped in this? Arizona State, right?
Arizona State, yeah.
Arizona
Arizona
State.
State just needed to win one game. Their
Pretty
last
much.
4 and didn't win a
Right.
game.
So we're talking about all these other teams, and we started off by talking about how TCU is completing missions but not accomplishing them. At least they're not absolutely just falling on their face in these missions, right? Like, they really you could say UCF was a bad weekend, but they didn't get swept. I don't know. I mean, what's the worst weekend TCU had this year? Like, you could pick 6 out of last year.
I'd say UCF this year.
Yeah, but is that really that bad? You drop a series 2 out of 3 on the road. Yes, UCF is bad. You hate to lose that. But, like, I'm looking at the numbers. I don't know what the hell UCF's problem was this year as far as winning games, because they have talent, man. They have one of the highest team wars in all the Big 12.
Yeah, they couldn't win any conference games. Like, their RPI, I think, was in the 60s, which, some bubble teams would love to have that RPI, and UCF didn't even make the conference tournament.
In fact, I'm looking at this now. Did Arizona State? Okay, they tied with Arizona State for the highest average team war. So they were at 1.03 average.
Dude,
TCU,
that's crazy.
TCU sat at 0.98, which is like third, tied 4th behind Kansas and Arizona State and UCF. West Virginia, if you're curious, finished with a 0.82. Frauds. Easy schedule. They play the winner of this game right now, right? Oklahoma State and Baylor.
I believe so.
And we get the winner of Kansas State and Houston. Give me your initial thoughts on that matchup and kind of who you would rather play. Just, I don't know. I'll leave it vague. You guys can take it wherever you want.
Martin, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I want Kansas State to win. I feel like for TCU and their hosting dreams, you need Kansas State to win this game. There's like a 60-point difference or a 60 ranking difference in RPI between playing Houston, who's in the 90s, and Kansas State, who's in the 30s, upper like 38, 39, something like that.
So what's the cutoff for a neutral site for a quad one?
40.
It's 40. Okay. So Kansas State sits where? 33.
33.
Okay. So that's a quad 1 game.
Yeah. So
whereas Houston would be quad 3?
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably move up if they beat Kansas State. But so the easiest win would probably be Houston beats K-State today and has to burn Antoine John.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much an auto win, but it's not going to help TCU at all in terms of, their hosting resume. Yes, beating Kansas State would be like a feather in the cap, another quad 1 win. So the worst case scenario would be Houston beating Kansas State and not having to use Antoine John.
Right.
That would be the worst case scenario. Because then losing to Houston would kill the RPI, and
that you're a 2 seed at that point.
Yeah,
there's no hope for hosting.
Yeah, so the thing is, K-State is probably obviously they're a much worse matchup. If you take Antoine John out, head to head, they beat us in Globe Life already once this year. They have a couple of left-handed pitchers in their rotation, or the first 2 guys in their rotation they're solid left-handed pitchers, but TCU is now without one of their best hitters against left-handed pitchers, so it kind of makes it worse matchup-wise. But if you were to get K-State and you beat them, and then you play Kansas in the second round, then I feel like you don't need to win the tournament to host.
Right.
I agree with you. Let's just take a look at how TCU matches up with both of these teams. So here's TCU over here on the far right. You have Kansas State in the middle, Houston on the left. I mean, you can see the talent disparity between Houston and K-State, right?
Obvious.
K-State has, let's see, this is, who the hell is this? I don't know who he is. Shintaro Inui? Martin, do you know anything? Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese transfer from JUCO. He's a solid player.
Yeah, obviously. Seth Dardar, I remember him from the one game we played them.
Their DH or their first baseman or something.
First baseman.
Ooh,
D. Kennedy, of course.
On TCU.
And then Maximus Martin. Those are 4 guys right there.
Yeah. That
Houston has no answer for. I mean, Houston's top players, Antoine Jean, of course, and then they do have Trey Broussard, who's a good player. But after that, it really drops off. I think K-State's definitely a tougher matchup for us, but we would get rewarded in RPI points like Ray pointed out. But there's another way to look at it too. TCU is not, a good resume builder, but it's more likely we advance in the tournament if Houston is our matchup, right? So then, easier path to the championship game. And if you make the championship game, then I think the committee looks less at who you played to get there and more that, okay, this team's on the bubble to host. They made their championship game. And I think you have a good chance of sneaking in. I think your RPI will still be solid. And then, maybe you just win the damn thing. And if you win the tournament, you're going to host, right? But no matter who wins this tournament, unless it's like BYU or Baylor.
I just want
if Kansas, West Virginia, or TCU win the tournament, they're hosting, right? Automatically.
Yes. Where's Keegan O'Connor on your graph?
What team? I don't know the name.
K-State.
Right here in the middle.
Wow.
So he's comparable to Nolan Traeger.
I think he was first team all Big 12.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that because there he goes. So first team all Big 12 from TCU. We had Tommy Lepore, no surprise. Sawyer Stroh-Snyder, no surprise. Noah Franco, small surprise.
The bat was. I mean, he was really solid.
He was, but so was Chase Brunson, and he made second team.
Yeah, loaded different positions.
What did Franco get first team for? I'm just looking at the overall graphic. DH. Okay, yeah. So Nolan Traeger, Chase Brunson, Carson Bowen both make second team. You had honorable mentions from K. Duty, Mason Brassfield, and Anthony Silva sneaking in there. So good for Tony.
Yeah, I was really surprised Brunson didn't make first team. I was kind of shocked by some of the guys who, like the 2 Texas Tech outfielders that made first team. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, let's look at that. So let me go here. I'm going to filter on the center fielders. You know what? So UCF had, I don't know, it doesn't tell me who the player is, but who's the guy from Arizona? Aaron Walton?
No, it's the Jackson guy, center fielder.
Okay. Well, this has Aaron Walton listed as their center fielder.
Oh, that's Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona. This is DMS Ross. Okay, so who got first team?
It was the 2 Texas Tech outfielders and then Sawyer Stroh-Snyder.
The Texas Tech outfielders.
Yep.
Which one?
But they
Logan
probably
Hughes
not Bravo.
Damian Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo. They probably didn't do position specific in the outfield and just did 3 outfielders.
But I'm looking at, okay, hold on. Let me just look at all the left field, right field. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Is that Bravo? No, it's Logan Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo. Yeah, Chase deserved it over Bravo.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and then I was surprised by utility guy from Arizona State, Landon Hairston. I mean, he had a really good season. I just didn't think he was first team all Big 12.
Okay, the other thing was Antoine John winning Pitcher of the Year over Tommy Laporte.
I mean, he was really good.
He was really, yeah, I can't disagree with it. So this is the pitching war for Houston, K-State, and TCU. Here's Antoine John with a 2.32 to Tommy Laporte's 1.8. So I can't complain about that. I think first team All Big 12 for Tommy is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all want to talk about pitching as we head into?
Yes, actually I do. Because I'll let you start off, Ray.
I have concerns about starting. Here we are 54 games into the season, and I still feel a little uneasy about starting pitching.
Well, it's funny because 2 weeks ago we were on here I think it was after the Baylor series?
Yes.
So, yeah, almost 3 weeks ago, we said we walked away from the Baylor series saying we didn't get the sweep, but I think what we gained is confidence in a starting rotation Friday through Sunday. And then that kind of all went to hell over the course of Cincinnati and Utah.
And you can even a little bit Arizona.
Well, I'm just saying we walked away from Baylor with Laporte, Cademan, and Brassfield all giving really good starts. Wait, was Arizona after Baylor?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So include Arizona in there.
I think just the last 2 weekends.
Dude, I'm not comfortable with Cademan Parker starting another game, if I'm being blunt.
I mean, I feel pretty good about Mason Brassfield right now. I think going into this tournament, they have already said Tommy Laporte is going to start game 1, which, I mean, you kind of have to. Especially, you can't start Brassfield on that short of a rest.
No.
So
because you're still playing for more after this tournament, whether we host or not.
Right. So Tommy Laporte, I mean, he could bounce back. Globe Life is a pitcher-friendly kind of park, especially in college. Now, game 2, I could
Hold
see
on.
them...
Can I stop you? Can we stay on Tommy Laporte for a second?
Yeah.
Because my concerns with the pitching doesn't end at Cademan Parker. I'm worried we burned out Tommy Laporte.
Dude, I was about to ask, did we use all the bullets?
Hey, it was worrying me when we recapped the game where, well, yeah, I mean, we got 7 out of Tommy, 7 2/3, but we threw him 130 pitches. And I'm like, I hope this doesn't come back to bite us later in the year.
I'm not too
saying
worried.
it will, but you're seeing signs of cracks with Tommy.
I think he'll bounce back tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, of the two, I'm more confident in Tommy bouncing back. What we're seeing out of Cademan Parker is, dude, he can't get anyone out. And I mean, literally, he didn't get anyone out against Utah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely more troubling.
Well, didn't he get one out?
No, there was an out at the plate on a base hit.
That's an out.
No, it's not.
For the tournament's sake, I think they can start Brassfield game 2 and then championship. I think they'll start Cademan and then see how he does. If he doesn't do well, I think they're well suited to pitch a lot of guys, which they showed that in Utah. They had to go basically 9 innings.
That's the thing. So Cademan 2 weeks in a row lays a total egg, and then the bullpen comes in and gives up like 1 run over, I don't know, 16 innings.
Yeah.
Dude, and
those games.
That's the difference between like this year's TCU team and like last year's TCU team.
Right. But the problem is you can't get to a regional and go down 6-0 in the second inning.
No.
So yeah, I want Cademan to start a game in this tournament because I want to know exactly what we're going to get in the regional. Because if he lays another egg, you can't start him in a regional. You just can't. And if he bounces back, you say, okay, he had 2 bad weeks, but he's back on track. And then I'm comfortable starting him in a regional.
No, you can't. If you need a quick hook or a quicker hook.
I mean, I think he's
Yes.
gonna have a pretty quick hook. The games in Utah didn't mean much. I think that's why he was trying to. It was more important for Kidman to figure it out more than
you
it
say
was.
they didn't mean much, but your hosting chances are on the line.
Yeah, I agree.
So another win against Cincinnati probably would have made the difference. I don't know if another win against Utah would have made that much of a difference.
I think it does, dude. I think it does because now you're sitting well inside the top 16 in RPI. You finish the season another game better in the conference record. I think it makes a big difference. Like going in here, hold on, Martin. So going into Utah, D1 had us at what? The number 11 or 13?
13.
Okay, so we win 2 out of 3 in Utah. They dropped us to 15 by a smudge. I mean, it was like a coin flip even to get 15. But if you sweep Utah, do you think they're saying, yeah, suddenly I don't know about TCU?
I think they dropped to 15 because other teams did something like Oregon swept.
That is part of it. That is part of it.
Iowa. You had Southern Miss, who's like tearing up the world right now, and then they have that head-to-head win over TCU. So that is unfortunate for TCU, but there's nothing TCU can do about that now. Plus, they have representation on the committee. So if it comes down to TCU or Southern Miss, they're going to pick Southern Miss.
I'm still sharing my screen, aren't I? Unnecessarily.
And then you had Georgia Tech win the ACC.
Sorry, I got to switch over to the Stars game. It looks like Oklahoma State taking the lead on Baylor. I feel good about them closing that one out. So Oklahoma State stays alive.
Oklahoma State's an interesting team.
I don't care that much about them.
I don't either.
Let me get to this. End of season awards. TCU does their own awards. Let me get your guys' opinion on this. So for the Matt Carpenter Most Valuable Player Award, I was always going to pick the TCU hitter that led the team in WAR. It was close down the stretch, and we had a crazy finish. Chase Brunson leads the team in WAR.
Congratulations, Mr. Brunson.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Come on down.
In Total War?
In Total War.
Oh, hold on. I still have it filtered, right? No?
Uh-oh. Controversy.
Why am I not? No, I'm just not seeing where. Oh, I think he might be hiding right behind Stroh-Snyder. What number do you have for Chase?
I think it was 3.27 for Brunson, and then I think it's like 3.16 for Stroh-Snyder. It's like
so fraction. I got 3.21 for Stroh-Snyder, and I don't even see Chase. Hold on.
This is like when Steve Harvey announced the wrong Miss America years ago.
Okay, I have Chase at 3.20 and Stroh-Snyder at 3.21.
Oh, controversy.
But if you go to O-War, let me see. Okay, I got Chase at 2.65, Stroh-Snyder at 3.07. So do with that what it's your award, Martin. You can get you it how you want, but
I mean either one. I just because there's a Jason Coates leading hitter. I didn't want to give 2 awards to the same guy.
Okay, so we're going with the Matt Carpenter Award goes to Chase Brunson.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what's
I don't have a problem with that.
What's the defensive WAR?
Oh man, you're right. I just pulled up Synergy. Man, I don't know what changed, but so after the last game against Utah, Chase Brunson had overtaken Stroh-Snyder. I don't know what changed, but so Synergy right now says Stroh-Snyder 3.21 and Brunson 3.20.
Thanks for confirming my numbers.
Yeah. Oh, this is surprising. You know who's third?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Is it Carson Bowen?
Cole Kramer.
3.12.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, right. You're right.
We can give it to Stroh-Snyder.
I was overlooking him.
Okay, which player
Cole Kramer. Hold on. Cole Kramer. Where's he at on my D? Yeah, so Cole Kramer's boasted a lot by defense. He was TCU's second best defender by a mile. Ray, you asked who should win the Keaton Jones Defensive Player Award. I'm just making up names. Martin may have a different name.
Brian Holiday, Outstanding Defensive Player.
I'm good with that. Who do you have?
Anthony Silva.
Yeah, that's a runaway.
Yeah,
pretty.
That's
easy.
a runaway.
Congratulations, Mr. Silva.
Yeah, he's very honored. I am honored on his behalf. Okay, what else you have, Martin?
Jake Arrieta, Outstanding Pitcher Award.
Drum roll. No, I mean,
not a lot of drama here.
Right?
Tommy Lepore.
You think Tommy's acceptance speech would be the Kanye? Well, everyone was wondering what I'd do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Then Jason Coates, leading hitter, Sawyer Stroh-Snyder. And then this one is, I guess, subjective. The Frank Windigger.
Dude, could the best hitter award
Hold on. Martin was rolling here.
Oh.
The Frank Windinger Fighting Frog Award.
Okay.
I give it to Carson Bowen.
Okay.
There you go.
I feel
who are the other candidates? I'm curious.
Cole Kramer.
There you go. That's the one that came to my mind when you said it. But
yeah,
I'm good with Carson.
It was very close. I went with Carson just because he's played all these games over his career at TCU, injured, and I felt like once he moved into that leadoff role for the team, I feel like that really was a spark plug for the offense.
100%.
I feel like things could have gotten really bad if that didn't happen.
And just think of the sacrifices that he's made for this team.
Yeah,
right? Like
I don't think he has any sacrifices.
Well, he's had to move from behind the plate to first base, which is a much
he's
less,
a natural catcher.
Yeah.
That was a sacrifice bunt joke.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Never ever bunt.
There was another one that was like student athlete of the year. I have no idea what these guys do in the classroom, so I didn't feel like I should. But these are awards
historically they're all geniuses.
Martin, 90% of them are going to go pro in something other than professional sports.
Probably a greater percentage.
Y'all want to guess who won it last year?
Cohen
Porter Brown.
No, Porter Brown hasn't been here in years.
Zach Wattis and Jax Traeger.
Dude, it's funny you say Zach Wattis. So for whatever reason, when looking at the box score from Friday's game against Utah, it was all messed up. And it said that Zach Wattis had a pitching appearance against TCU.
That's wild.
Don't remember that. All right. Hey, before we wrap up, I got something to present to you guys. Let's do a little producing on the air. What do you think about a live show for Selection Monday?
What time is the selection show?
Noon.
11 a.m.
High noon. Oh, it's 11. Oh, 12 Eastern. Okay.
I think so. I think it's 11 a.m.
All right. So before we hit the pool for Memorial Day, we can hop on the stream and give some instant reactions to Selection Monday. What do you think?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'll remember my mic. I'm going out of town again. I'll be sure to pack my mic so I don't sound like how I fear that I sound right now.
You sound okay.
Well, it sounds okay until we play it back, and then I sound like crap.
Better than season 1.
Okay, it's not a high bar. But yeah, that was an idea that I had today. I think that'd be fun.
Martin, can we rename
We're gonna watch Selection Monday.
This is the name TCU uses.
The Spittin' Chicklets.
All right, we'll figure it out.
No.
Sorry, my personal producer was talking to me about Monday's plans.
Well, they include NCAA selection show. Tell her a real producer.
Well, combined, we have like a dozen nieces and nephews, and one of them has a birthday party on Monday. So, yeah.
Not at noon.
Yeah. And the weather's supposed to be kind of weird. It's supposed to be kind of, well, actually pretty nice. Low 70s.
All right, guys. We have Stars Hockey about to drop the puck. I'm sure I have it paused.
Dude,
I want
no
to see all
way.
the intro
It's
stuff.
it's on ESPN. They're not
I
dropping
know,
that punk for another
but
10 minutes.
yeah, but I don't want Stove texting me this is BS when I'm 10 minutes behind on the stream. So
Dude, I got plenty of stove today as we were watching our Tottenhams finally win a major trophy.
is it major?
Yes.
Was
Dude,
anybody else outside of Tottenham fans watching?
Nope.
120%.
Nope.
Dude, you
I guess.
qualify for the Champions League with that win.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's a big deal. But I saw way more tweets about Cincinnati, Texas Tech than I did Tottenham today.
Our
saw
our
way more
timelines
tweets
were
complaining
totally
about-
different experiences.
I saw way more tweets complaining about the 2026 Big 12 tournament.
Dude, yeah.
We didn't even get to touch on that.
I mean,
It sucks, period.
It does.
it sucks for us as TCU fans, right? Because it's in our backyard.
Yeah, I agree. Although I wasn't planning on going to games this year because I'm just globe lifed out. It's
but
expensive.
Surprise is just the worst.
It is. It's a horrible decision. I just don't know how much I care overall.
When I first heard it was moving to Arizona, I was like, oh, cool, Chase Field. And then I was like, surprise?
Yeah. Yeah, and the reasonings are so dumb. Like, a lot of fans are saying it'll look better on TV. Who gives a damn how the games look on TV? That's the dumbest reasoning.
Dude, how does the West Virginia and UCF and Cincinnati ADs not be like, what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, but if I'm like a West Virginia fan, I'm like, I already had to fly to Texas. I might as well fly to Arizona. It's not like it was close.
Man.
Like the people it sucks for the most are TCU fans, followed by like Baylor, Oklahoma State.
No, Texas Tech.
Yeah, because they got to drive to Oklahoma City just to fly to Arizona.
Well, next
with
year,
the
Texas
layover
Tech
in
won't even make
Dallas.
the tournament.
Well, dude, all the Texas Tech fans live right in DFW too.
Oh, that's true too. I was just thinking Lubbock, but
they won't have to worry about it next year.
That's a good point.
No, their program's over.
All right, boys. Well, tomorrow it all kicks off. Probably about what?
Probably
I
like
don't know. 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Well, I think first pitch is scheduled for like 7:30. But you know how these things run.
It'll be about 8:30, I'm sure.
100%.
Right. I'll be by the channel. Are you guys going?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
120% yes. I would never, ever skip out on a chance to watch the Frogs live in person.
Okay.
All right, boys. Yeah. For Long Drink, Chinook, and Anduno, go Frogs.
Go Frogs.